start building from Rawlins, Wyoming, and we won't stop building until we hit Promontory, Utah, the end of the line. That's 350 long miles away. Let's see how much money we have. $5,600,000. Not bad at all. Let's get building. Rawlins to Promontory. Your mission? Make it through the desert alive and keep your workers happy. Warning: there are no lakes or streams ahead, so plan carefully. The Dream Team's been out looking for places with water. Thing is, they all disagree about where to find it. Watch now. Here's the place where Wild Bill has seen clamshells. Good decision. Stock up on water here. There are 80 miles of desert, and you need 800 gallons of water per mile. Bad choice. You brought 6,400 gallons of water when you needed 64,000. You're bankrupt. Oh, shucks. Our men collapsed in the heat and the train won't go anywhere. Bad choice. 640,000 gallons is more than 500,000 gallons too much. You're bankrupt. Just buying all that water costs us more than we have. Never mind carrying it. Good choice. You brought just enough water for your men. That water will come in handy in that desert. Watch now. Here's the place where Tomahawk has seen water. No water. It was only a mirage. Backtracking to get water costs you $100,000. We better get water for our workers and trains. No water. All you see are fossils of seashells. Backtracking costs you $100,000. Those clams have been dead for a long time. We better get water for our workers and trains. Red Desert. Locals say these miles and miles of waterless high desert can be crossed. Nobody's ever done it with a train, though. It's tough going through the desert, but your water supply is holding out. Good work. Red Desert. The desert is a dangerous place. Rattlesnake bites sicken some of your workers. You lose $100,000 by continuing. Hauling water and supplies through this part of the desert costs you $100,000. Your workers are sick of building in a desert and run off to work in the mines. You lose $100,000. Rawlins, Wyoming. Building starts in this outpost in Wyoming on a hot August day in 1868. 350 grueling miles ahead. Evanston, Wyoming. The town was named for the railroad surveyor, James A. Evans. Evanston, Wyoming. Supply station here. You stock up on water and save $100,000 in the long run. Mysterious stones. Locals have found strange stones here with sparkling colors. They change color and flash as you turn them in your hand. Bad decision. The stones were gems called opals. Mining here would have earned you a hefty profit. Good decision. The stones are gems called opals. Mining here earns you a profit of $100,000. Burning rock. Some locals say this oil shale will burn if you set a match to it. Burning rock. Some locals say this oil shale will burn if you set a match to it. Do you want to try it out? The blazing rock starts a fire that burns down the worker camps. It costs $10,000. We had to replace worker tents and railroad ties. That was an expensive little show. The fire is a real sight, blazing in the desert. You earned $10,000. It was dangerous, but it cheers the men so much that they work faster. Probably not a good idea to play with fire in these parts. It's dry. Wasatch Mountains. You finally hit the dreaded Rocky Mountains. Avalanche region here. Wasatch Mountains. You finally hit the dreaded Rocky Mountains. There's no pass here, and you see evidence of avalanches. Avalanche! Blasting tunnels causes an avalanche. No one is injured, but digging out takes weeks. You lose $50,000. Green River. The Green River runs very fast and has a sandy bottom. 1,000-mile tree. Surveyors tell you that this tree marks exactly 1,000 miles from Omaha. Building here may just cheer up our tired workers. After all, they've built 1,000 miles of track. 1,000-mile tree. This tree marks exactly 1,000 miles from Omaha. You receive a company bonus of $100,000. The celebration continued all night long, and our workers are cheered up and happy to continue. Grassland. Wild horses and antelope roam freely in these parts. Grassland. Wild horses and antelope roam freely in these parts. What do you want to do? After much struggle, you capture a good many wild horses. Do you want to keep them for hauling wagons? Or trade them to the Utes? You wreck 3 of your wagons trying to train the horses. It's no use. They won't work for the railroad. Lose $5,000. Good decision. The nearby Ute tribe needs horses and pays handsomely for them. You collect $10,000. Bad decision. You could have pocketed a nice chunk of change by either hunting for meat or trading horses. The antelope hunt goes well, and you bag enough game to keep your workers happy for weeks. Collect $10,000. Sparks from your locomotives start fires that destroy train tracks. Lose $10,000. Problem is, the workers overhunted the antelope, and the grass grew high and dried right up. There's plenty of sand, but this won't be a day at the beach. Well, there's always a first time. With nearly 650 residents, Evanston's getting to be quite a town. Sounds like those are either some strange stones or some strange people. The workers are dying to see if it's true. Desert regions receive little or no rain. They can be blindingly hot during the day and bitterly cold at night. This desert was once an ancient inland sea. The shells are fossilized remains of sea life that lived here millions of years ago. The Red Desert is a cold temperature desert, also called a high desert. The landforms are like nowhere else on Earth. It's at a high altitude, like a mountain. That's why it's cold. The early development of Rawlins was closely linked with the fur trade. Harvey Booth runs a saloon and restaurant on Front Street. It was the first building in Evanston, even if it wasn't much more than a canvas tent with a wood floor. Now there's a roundhouse, a machine shop, and all sorts of businesses. A gem is usually a kind of rock that is cut and polished and used as an ornament. You want 3 things in a gem: beauty, rarity, and durability. Opals are all 3. Oil shale is a sedimentary rock that's greasy to the touch and produces oil when heated. The Rockies are the biggest mountain system in the West. They stretch for 3,000 miles from New Mexico to Alaska. Until we got here, the Rockies made it hard to travel across the continent. The ancestors of these horses escaped from Spanish explorers hundreds of years ago. They're valuable to the Indians. If you can catch them, you'll have to decide whether to keep them as part of your supplies or trade them to the Cheyenne and Arapaho. The Red Desert contains lots of strange landforms. There are red-bottomed desert lakes dotted with bright green greasewood. There are badlands where it looks like the rocks are painted. There are ancient volcanoes, shifting sand dunes, and fossils from an ancient inland sea. Rawlins was named after the general who led the soldiers that protected the railroad survey crew. He was sick with tuberculosis, and he thought being out west might do him good. Sedimentary rock forms at the bottom of oceans and lakes. Sediment is dirt and mud that squeezes together hard enough to make rock. An avalanche happens when a mass of snow and ice falls down a mountainside. Some of the trees around here were snapped in half by avalanches. The workers will eat well if they can catch a few antelope. Don't overhunt, though, or the grass will become overgrown and there will be fires.
80 miles at 800 gallons per mile? Anybody can tell you that's 640,000 gallons. Nowhere else in the world like the Red Desert. Wildlife everywhere, strange plants and sculpted landforms under starlight and endless skies. Oh, and it's nice and flat, too. I'm telling you, the only water in this desert is what you bring. Not all deserts are hot, you know. Cold deserts, which are so icy that they never get any rain, cover 1/6 of the Earth's surface. Hot deserts like this one cover 1/5. Some folks say a terrible monster with a huge head sometimes crawls out of the lake and gives a big old roar. Personally, I think some folks like to make up stories. There's a house out on Antelope Island that's one of the oldest homes built by settlers in the state of Utah. Whenever I go on a trip, I pack too much. Sometimes it's an extra shirt, sometimes it's a few extra socks, sometimes it's 500,000 gallons of water. Lighting rocks on fire? I reckon there's better things to do with our time. You know you're working hard when working in a mine sounds easy. We're too close to Promontory to get sidetracked now. Let's build! You're about as likely to find a tree round here as you are to find a fancy French restaurant. We're too close to Promontory to get sidetracked now. Let's build! All right. Just seems to me that when you're building a train, you don't stop for every critter you see running through the grass.
In 1868, this area became the territory of Wyoming, with Cheyenne as its capital. It's been my favorite territory since 1869, when the Wyoming Territory government passed a law to let women vote. They must be doing something right.
All right. Just seems to me that when you're building a train, you don't stop for every critter you see running through the grass.
The Great Salt Lake. Try sinking in here. I tell you, it's impossible. That coal could come in handy. If we can convert our locomotives to burn it, they'll run longer and faster. The men in this picture are loading the coal from the mine into what they call strip pits. Wasatch in the Ute language means mountain pass or low pass over high range.
If you're going 80 miles and you need 800 gallons per mile, you ought to take 6,400 gallons. Just to be on the safe side, mind you.
These wild horses are descendants of the horses originally introduced into this area by Spanish explorers. Antelopes stand 3 to 4 feet at the shoulder. Antelope horns are not shed, and unlike deer horns, they don't have branches.
You can see some funny-looking rocks around here. The wind blows the sand at them so hard they change shape. I saw a place out there where the water's just shimmering in the sand. I say we head to there. I'll show you. I'm good at this kind of figuring. Now, let's see. If I need 2 bottles of whiskey for every mile of track, I've seen wild horses running across the desert in these parts. Rattlesnakes, huh? They're good eating, you know. Tastes kind of like chicken. That doesn't sound like fool's gold to me. Sounds like opals, and they're worth a mess of greenbacks. Let's mine them. Hunting a few antelope will mean meat for the workers, and it'll save us a nice pile of greenbacks. Now, don't go thinking the wrong thing. Just because I can tell an opal when I see it don't mean I like to wear jewels. They sure are pretty, though. Trade with the Utes. These are wild horses. They won't go to work hauling rails without a fight. I told them 100 times, you don't hunt more than you need.
You show me a place that gets less than 10 inches of rain a year, and I'll show you a desert.
These antelope burgers are good with a little ketchup. I like mine with a pickle.
I've scouted out the red desert, and I found clamshells in the sand. And everybody knows that where there's clamshells, there's water. I'll show you where. When we get there, I got me a recipe for clams that's some good eatin'. Now, you take the clams, see, and you saute 'em in a little oil. I still say we could have made it through. Them workers are just too proud to drink cactus juice and lizard spit. 80 miles at 800 gallons of water per mile. That's 64,000 gallons of water. Not one drop more, not one drop less. I still think there was water. I think them clams just got sneaky and ran away when they saw us coming. Don't never trust a clam. Sounds like a nice place to visit, but I wouldn't want to build there. Maybe Sarah could take a few pictures and send us a postcard. A man by the name of Fielding Garr lives out on Antelope Island. He's got himself a house made of homemade bricks and stuff from around the island. Harvey Booth. Now there's a great humanitarian. He started up a saloon in these parts and made gambling possible for folks like us. There were nothing to do round here at night before Harvey Booth. Rattlesnakes? From now on, I'm wearing 2 sets of boots. The early settlers said there was a whirlpool in the middle of the lake that trapped boaters. They say it ain't true, but I'm still not going swimming. Round here, there's a bunch of yellow rock. A lot of times it comes in crystals. Might look like gold, but it ain't. Fool's gold, pyrite, they call it. You just leave it alone. Let's give the workers a thrill. Any man who says he doesn't want to see that rock burn is a downright liar. Who ever heard of opals? All I could think of was the time I tried to use fool's gold in a card game and I nearly got myself shot. I know, it's a darn shame about the camp, but you should have seen that rock burn. Can we do it again if we're real careful? There's nothing makes you feel quite as good as a big old blazing rock. Let's catch us some horses. Ain't every day you see free horses just there for the taking. The Wasatch have a whole mess of canyons. They're made by little streams that cut right into the rock, if you give them enough time. Now, if we could only feed coal to the workers, we'd be sitting pretty. Convert them engines to coal. Bringing in wood is costing us tons of money. Let's use them. We can always use more horses. Them wild horses are mean. I've seen rattlesnakes that'd be easier to train.